Hey, just before we get into the interview proper, there is one piece of information that has changed since the initial recording. The date of the Kickstarter's launch has changed to March 7th instead of February the 15th, 2020. And with that, enjoy the interview. Hi, I'm Garm1, and this is Midgardia's cool crowdfunding show. I'm here today with Ruby Measom. How's it going?
I'm doing great.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ascendancy? Do you want to take a minute and we'll
Nope, I
retake
got it.
that?
I got it. Sorry.
All right.
Oh, believe me, this is representative of who I am. Ascendancy is a cyberpunk tabletop RPG. It's a hack of The Spire by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. It is the first hack of Spire to have a Kickstarter, actually. Aside from Heart, which was also made by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor, so they don't count it. Um, I'm the first third party, basically. Um, Ascendancy it's a game where you play as the Ascended, a group of cyberpunk psychic cyborgs who were created by an oppressive empire to use as weapons. But the empire has since been overthrown, and now you, as these cyborgs, need to find your identity now that you're no longer being manipulated into like being a weapon. It's very much a game about finding your identity once you no longer know who you are, and searching for yourself while fighting for the things that you love.
Cool. That's a very
Yeah.
concise description of what is a lot of concepts.
Yeah, I believe me, I've spent a lot of time trying to just go, how do I get this as succinct as I can?
And you've done an excellent job. Uh,
Thank you.
I want to play that already. So let's say I don't know anything about the Spire, which is
Right.
absolutely true, actually. Um, can you tell me a little bit about how this works out mechanically?
Yes. So, mechanically, one of the things that's remarkable to me about Sparked by Resistance games, the SRD is called the Resistance Toolkit. So games that are made using it are called Sparked by Resistance. Um, it's a ridiculous term that I got to make up, so I'm using it. I don't care. Um, so the thing about Spire is that it's really succinct. If you look at the Book of Spire, it's like 350 pages long, but the actual rules fit into 20 pages. The rest is all just setting and lore and setup and GM advice and playbooks. And like what I think is the defining one of the defining traits of Sparked by Resistance games is that it's really, really elegant and really like there's a lot of design packed into not a lot of space. Ascendancy is, I think, only 30 pages in that regard. Because I like pruned it and redesigned everything to be as like succinct as I possibly can and right to the point. Um, and what resistance Sparked by Resistance games do really, really, really well is representing change. Like the main gimmick is that instead of like health trackers or anything, you have multiple different stress trackers. Inspire, I think they were reputation, cover, blood, uh sanity, I think, and coin, and like how much money, silver, how much money you have. And each of those tracks a different thing, and as it increases, you have like as you take more stress to these trackers, you have a higher chance of suffering a fallout where like your lack of money causes you to have a problem. So Ascendancy works very much off of that idea where it's a system, it's a core system that works very well and encourages change very well. And I wanted to focus that element of it using and pushing change to use it to push people's identities.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for systems with multiple stress tracks ever since I read the
Oh
Smallville
yeah.
RPG, which
Yeah. Um I'm trying to remember what Ascendancies are because they've been through a lot of drafts, but I remember being particularly proud of them. There's body, like HP. In terms of like group there's two group trackers, resource, like how much resources your team has, and faction, which is kind of an abstracted representation of the world moving without you. But personally, you have heat, which is like how aware people are of your existence. Body, augment, which is like your current psychic power, and hope. I always forget about hope, but it's my favorite one.
I always forget about hope. Sounds like the like flavor text for a chap.
God, I feel like I need to write that down now, otherwise I'm gonna forget.
Well, it's recorded.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, go for it. Attribute it to
Oh
me.
yeah,
I'm cool with that.
I'll open a monologue with that one.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, I see you've got 9 playbooks, given various layers of the alphabet. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yes. In fact, I even pulled it up in advance because I knew I would forget what all of them are. So, the idea with the playbooks in Ascendancy is that they are what your abilities are as a psychic, and like what your like what archetype you were built for as one of these like psychic cyborgs. So the idea was very much that you start off with these abilities that were given to you and that you don't really like know what to do with, but over time they become more of your own power and like become your own. And uh something that I intend very intentionally put in, and I hope it's not too subtle because it might be kind of bad if it otherwise. um all of the moves have flavor text, where where like low and medium advances are all like stuff that the creators intended for you to do, and high advances are all like they never imagined you'd be able to accomplish this. This is purely you. And I really wanted that to come across. um so uh sorry, there's a lot of explaining, but the playbooks are my favorite part of this game, and I love playbooks, so I will talk about them.
It's all good. This is an interview about your product. Go nuts.
You got very and you hit immediately on what I wanted to talk about. Um, so I kind of divide the playbooks into like I shouldn't, because they all have the potential to like they bleed in between each other and cross over. But in like mentally, I kind of divide the playbooks between like cool cyberpunk bullshit and really really sad character arcs. So the playbooks I have are the temporal, the T type, where it's you have time control abilities and you can manipulate the flow of time and like cause and effect. That one's actually kind of interesting because I initially didn't want to write a playbook based on time control, because time control in tabletop RPGs can get fucky really fast. So what I landed on was making it so that the players are always in the main timeline. You're never like, it's never like, oh, and this timeline is abandoned, now let's jump into the other one. You're always, if you get help, it's a past version of it's a future version of yourself coming back to help you. You don't go, oh, well, I'm going to go back in time now. It's, oh, well, a future version of myself shows up. I always wanted it to be very much like that in order to like maintain flow. I think it's really good. I like all my playbooks. I like all my children.
I'm glad.
I've only gotten through 1 out of 9. Okay. The caster, or the C type, has the ability to manipulate abstract ideas, which is it's a very strange concept to make a playbook around, but it has some really cool stuff. Initially, it started out very much like, I don't know, what if you can say a word and then things catch on fire? And then it ended up being like, is the abstract ideals put upon you literally weighing on your back? Like, I very much leaned in to the idea of abstraction. Then there's the glitch, the G type, where it's like your psychic abilities are hacking. You can like hack and control devices, but it very much treats anything digital, or like the world of the digital in quotes, as a literal other world. So you can like step through monitors or like travel through windows. Um, the memory type is one of my favorites. The M type. The M type is all about manipulating your own memories for your advantage. So it's like you can make your own memories muddled or missing in order to get an advantage on a roll, or you can you can manifest your memories at the cost of making them blurrier. It does not have. It only has one move based on controlling other people's memories, and it like comes at a cost and is pretty hard to get at. Because I didn't want it to be the fuck with other people's minds playbooks, because that doesn't read well to me.
Yeah, and Remember Me works as a video game, but not so much as a tabletop game.
Exactly. So I very much wanted it to be push on the identity side of it, of who are you when your memory is constantly shifting and changing and being imprinted on by other people. The Shadow, or S type, is another one of my favorites. I think it's the last one I wrote. I need to stop saying they're my favorites. I love all of them.
It's all good.
The idea actually came from watching. I'd been working on the Shadow type for a really long time, but never really had it. It didn't have a cohesive identity beyond like the one about sneaking and assassinating people. But I just was idly thinking about Hitman, and I was like, what if Hitman was really sad?
I mean,
So-
he is.
Yeah, but like really sad. So the idea is that any identity that you take on, any like cover that you pretend to be, is in essence another person that you're pretending to be, and another identity that you are taking on yourself. So it's this like, who are you when you're constantly lying about who you actually are?
A little bit Who is the Mask going on there, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of that. The prototype. They're the prototype's really hard, and I've talked about this on other shows, but the prototype's really hard to categorize because its core concept is less of a here's what the playbook is based around, and more of a like thematic emotional core of like being a representation of like the feeling of being untied from your own identity, of not knowing who you are anymore, and that identity constantly shifting. It's very much, it's very, it sounds pretentious to say, but it's very close to like playbook as poetry.
I read a
Um,
lot of tabletop games. That's nowhere near the most pretentious thing I've heard this month.
Thank God, because yeah, I really like the prototype, and I say all of these are some of my favorites. I think the prototype is my absolute favorite, just because of what it means to me when I sat down and wrote it, and like the place I was in, and how it ended up changing as I became a different person and got through my own identity crisis. And then the A type is a robot.
Beautiful transition.
Yeah. So the idea is that if you play an A type, you're not actually a cyborg. You are just flat out a robot created to like emulate these cyborgs. And in order to lean into the identity, you have three laws that were created for you that you have to obey, but that like you can slowly break from and develop into your own person. I like it a lot. It's got a lot of really cool stuff. It has probably my single favorite move name in the game. And I had someone message me 2 days ago going, "Hi, Ruby, we were playing the game and someone took an A-type advance and used it to one-shot the villain, and now I don't know what to do." And I was like, well, I don't know what to do either. That's rad.
That's robots.
That's robots. It's cool. I forgot that I wrote that move, but I'm glad that it worked the way I wanted it to. Okay, I'll try to get through the next. I only have two last ones. The data or D type, their ability is based on the fact that they have scanners built into their cyborg augments, so they can scan and interpret data, and then like scan objects and recreate them, or like modify machines. They're very much the engineerish class. I am a huge fan of engineers in fiction, so I was like, oh, I want to write one of these, and I wrote the D type, which just got wild. It just got wild as I wrote it, and I really like it. I like it more and more with every time I read it again. And then the warrior is very much it's another pretty high concept playbook. The W type's gimmick is that they control psychic powers. They have the ability to manifest their powers as objects and then like pass it on to other people, or to, you know, hold and use the powers of people of the other ascended. It's it's very much a playbook that's like the cool fighting one. It has my single favorite move in the game, and I will not back down on it. It's my favorite move I've written, and it will forever be my favorite. Um, but it also has a lot of stuff about like identity and inspiration, and how the people who inspire you and are in essence to some degree like part of you and part of who you are. And I wanted to lean very far into the idea of like, because Ascendancy is just a mess of random inspirations. There's no single inspiration for this game. It's a mess. And I very much was like, I want to lean into that for this playbook. So I decided to sit down and, you know, write it to be about drawing on the people who inspire you and motivate you.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And for the record, my favorite move in Ascendancy is on the W type one. That's my favorite move, is bullet jump, where if you land a ranged attack, you can push yourself to instantly appear next to whoever you shot. It's my favorite one because I've just used it for so many cool things.
Yeah, that sounds very versatile.
Yeah, it's very versatile, and I've had people be like, that's really overpowered. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really care. But yeah, it's very much a game where like the playbooks are all really high concept. and I'm proud of that. I don't care. I love them. I love them all.
I got that. They're all your favorite, and that is perfectly okay.
They're all my favorite except for the prototype, which is my extra favorite because it's just it means something to me, you know? It means something to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, tell me about psychic powers.
Yes. Okay, so with the psychic powers and ascendancy, it came to some degree out of almost a frustration in that there was a post I saw a while ago by one of the authors of Hardwired Island where I don't know if it was Freya or Eden. One of them was talking about like how they intentionally didn't put psychic powers into their sci-fi setting because every sci-fi setting has psychic powers. And for me, I went the complete opposite direction of why is there always only one playbook where you have psychic powers? So I very much was like, I want a game where every player is psychic, where all of you have these wild bullshit psychic powers and there's no way around it. It's not like, well, I'm going to take the psychic playbook.
You're
So
all the psychic playbook.
You're all the psychic playbook. It's just varying degrees of it. But the powers kind of like the powers were part of the core pitch from the beginning of like, oh, there's a whole long story as to how Ascendancy's inspiration was made and how I started making it. I won't get into it because God knows I'll take up an hour talking about it. But the fact that you had superpowers was always part of the pitch of Ascendancy. But originally it was just going to be like, you know, you have superpowers in the way that you have a flamethrower in your arm. But I decided to change it into psychic powers because once it started to become more of a game about like first off, psychic powers sounded better on a pitch reel for a sci-fi game than superpowers. It just sounds more in genre. And that's kind of the reason I started calling them psychic powers. But over time, I started to lean more and more into the idea of like, okay, psychic powers are powers that come from your mind. They are you like your head, your mind, your brain, whatever. And they are in essence you manifested. They like if I really love the idea of power as a metaphor for its wielder, and I really wanted to just go hog wild with it. So like I think that I really like psychic powers because there's more of a room to be abstract with it, and there's more of a room to explore who you are with your abilities. So like you can, lean really far into your trauma as it like literally manifests itself as your powers. Um, there's an element in the game that I lean on really hard in the world building, and that every game I've played on has leaned in really hard, where the Ascended have dreams that are like a sort of that are sort of augmented and made more strange and more realistic by virtue of their having psychic powers. And so I really like I wanted to have bits where characters like go to sleep and dream, and they have dreams that impact who they are and get really at the heart of the character. And I really wanted that's basically why I was so drawn in the end to the idea of making it psychic powers rather than just superpowers that are a metaphor for you. Is it just lets me drill right down to these powers are who you are, and it's wild and abstract, and trying to limit it to just one power is a terrible idea. So figure out who you are and play with the psychic powers I've given you and you've given yourself.
Right.
That was a long answer, long and rambly, but I'm very opinionated on the powers in this game.
No, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a very, what's the word? I guess. I mean, it's cool. I'm gonna say it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a good use of psychic powers.
Yeah. It's very much my favorite film of all time is Your Name, and I decided to lean into the like abstraction of like identity through dreams after seeing Your Name, because I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, but this makes me feel things. And I was really happy that it ended up just like really slotting into the game as well as it did.
Yeah, it's one of the most distinctive elements of it.
Yeah.
It's like most cyberpunk stuff with psychic powers tends to have them be fairly subtle, I guess.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is a game where like I don't this is a game where in one of the I did a one shot of it with the podcast rollout, and there's like a fight where we are inside of a like building, and I'm using my fire abilities as rocket boots to fight a guy in a mech suit. Like just it's anime as hell, and restraint is not something this game knows.
Hell yeah.
One of the one of the player principles is like be incredible. I really love people just going all out with their abilities in this game.
Yeah. And speaking of, if you ever want to run a game for us,
Oh, I don't GM. I have really bad anxiety about GMing.
that is completely fair.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's very much one of those things where like it's kind of frustrating because I'm like, oh, I feel like I should write the GM section for Ascendancy. I don't know what a GM needs. That's where I just lean on people and be like, hi, help me. What do you need?
That's fair. Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Bringing us back to the topic of like working together and working off of other people's strengths and shoring up your weaknesses as a family.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
As a family.
As a family. Here's a fun tip about Ascendancy that if you play Ascendancy that people have figured out, but not many people know. teamwork in Ascendancy is incredibly overpowered. It's intentionally way too strong. Because normally you have a dice cap of 4, but because of how the original Spire was written, and the fact that I just transferred the wording over, but forgot like a paragraph, teamwork can go over that dice cap, way over that dice cap. So if you play Ascendancy and really want a metagame, work together with your team as much as you possibly can. If you want to metagame a narratively focused game with no win state or lose state.
I mean, if you had fun, you won.
Yeah, exactly.
If everybody had fun, that's an important
Yeah, that's
caveat.
a caveat there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've certainly had games where I had fun and then people were like, I want to die.
Me too, mostly when I'm the one DMing and I kill the
Yeah.
entire party. Uh,
Mostly when I DM and I'm like, all right, no, hang on, just one more scene. And they're like, oh my God, it's been 3 hours, Ruby.
that's
I get way too excited.
hey, it could be worse.
Yeah.
So that I think that wraps up most of Ascendancy.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about your Kickstarter? Do you have any fun stretch goals, weird backer levels?
Oh my God, do I ever? So so the Kickstarter goes live. I don't know when this goes up, but it goes live on Saturday, the 15th of February, 2020. I'd said that date. No one says dates like that, but that's how I said the date.
It's okay. Don't worry about
it. There's like tiers for PDF, for getting the PDF version, and getting physical copies of the game. The two like fun, hey, here's something you get more for backing more money. The higher reward tiers, that's the phrase I was trying to think of. Jesus. There's one where you get to put a bar in Mooncore, because there's an entire section about the setting, about the bars in the setting, because I'm really into bars in fiction for some reason. And then one where a character that you design gets to be put into the art of the game. Because I always love those tiers. Aside from that, in terms of stretch goals, there's 3 major stretch goals and then a more art tier, which I hope that we hit, because my illustrator is Charlie C. Charlie, even on Twitter I'm trying to remember their thing, at It's Charlie Now. They're really good. They absolutely have just like nailed the feeling of the game, and they kept sending me like drafts being like, I'm sorry, I know I went a little overboard with like putting my own idea of what this looks like in the game. If this isn't your idea of what Ascendancy is, please tell me. And I'm like, no, this is incredible. I think the only time I was like, I don't like this, is when I was like, can you put more knives on this character and give her a scarf? and then it's perfect. But so in terms of the other stretch goals, we have there's 2 rounds of contractors hiring other people to write for the game. The first round has some really cool stuff. There's an organization called the Provisional Historical Society, which like creates shoddily made AI copies of the shitty empire that's now been destroyed. There's I don't want to ruin all of them. But there's some cool stuff with the cool part about the contractor descriptions is each of the descriptions of what that contractor will be adding to the game is written by that contractor. I didn't intend for that to happen, but it just kind of did, and it's actually incredible. It's a really cool like little piece of getting to see what their style is and what they're like and how they would write this pitch, and it's really cool, and I love it. The second round of contractors, however, is special because Grant Howitt will be writing a faction or something for the game. We haven't talked too much about what he's going to contribute, but he's on board if we hit that stretch goal. And I'm very excited because, you know, he's Grant Howitt.
Yeah, fair enough. I've
Yeah,
messaged him a couple of times. Even got
yeah.
responses.
Ah, he's helped me a lot. He was very helpful and very nice. Another in terms of the second round, there's Grant Howitt, and then the another one, just to give a little tease. You can check it out on the Kickstarter. Is AJ Ellis will be writing an entire section about the musical, like music and genre and musical movements within the setting of the game. I'm a little jealous that I didn't think of writing it myself, but AJ is so much better at writing. Like AJ's just killed it so far on what they've gotten so far. So I'm excited. I'm excited for all of these contractor stretch goals, and I really want to see all of them. But the ones that and I don't mean to disparage any of the contributors, because I'm so grateful for their help and for contributing to the game. But the one I'm most excited for obvious reasons, is at $20,000, I'm gonna add 2 more playbooks to the game. Because I love writing these things so much, and I had 2 ideas that I really wanted to put in, but didn't really know how they fit, and they're just perfect as stretch goals, and I really wanted to put them in, and I really hope that we hit that tier so I can write them. Oh, I'm so excited.
Can you give us a little teaser of those, like maybe just the names, if you've decided
Yes.
them?
I'll give you the names and the things that they reference, because I have a list of here's the kind of character archetype we've got. One of them is the Operator, which is based on Rui from Gotchaman Crowds, Aina from Promare, and the Doctor from Arknights. Which is, I don't know if anyone else will get those pulls, but I do.
I recognize the names of some of those series.
Okay.
I think I watched I think you said Gotcha Man Crowds in there.
Yes.
I think I watched the first episode and then realized that I wasn't gonna watch a show whose main character was obsessed with notebooks.
Oh, see, I was like, okay, so they finally created a character relatable for me. And the other one is the Linked, or the L type, which is based on Blades and Drivers from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Ardbert from Final Fantasy XIV, and literally the entire core concept of Soul Eater. So you can kind of figure out the pitch of that one just from the pulls.
Yeah, along the lines of
Yeah.
Astral Chain then too.
Oh, Astral Chain! Dang it! Yeah, Astral Chain. I forgot about that. I was like, I feel like there's a cyberpunk game about fighting alongside. Well, maybe not. I don't have any ideas. Oh
Yeah,
well, I'll
who
put in
knows?
Soul Eater.
I started playing it yesterday. It's really good.
It's very much one of those games that I'd love to play, and then I would probably play it once and then never actually finish it, and then constantly go, oh, I should go finish it, and then I never do.
It has a casual mode for if you're worried that you won't do very good at it.
Oh, that's not the problem. It's more that I just have ADHD and so many fucking games to play.
I understand how that goes. I had to force myself through another game before finishing it because I knew if I stopped playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I would never pick it up again.
God, I love Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I love that game.
I was less enthusiastic about it, but it was better than I expected from the first couple hours. It's just the first 2 characters are kind of bland. Anyway, Toma though. Toma's great.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiria and Ellie and everybody beats Ken Tsubasa, honestly. I've just pissed somebody off with that, I'm sure.
No, I feel like everyone I've seen who's like, oh yeah, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is good. It's like, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is really good. I mean, there's problems, but it's also a good game.
Yeah, it's
very much one of those games.
It's not as good as the Persona games, just because I know everybody feels real underdeveloped compared to those.
I have neither finished Tokyo Mirage Sessions, nor have I gotten far enough into Persona to really comment.
Fair enough.
I have never played a single Persona game, which is wild for someone who's made a game about exploring dreams as enough theme of identity.
Yeah, you should do that. I got most of the way through Persona 4 and then realized that to finish a social link I'd have to make a cute girl cry, so I didn't do that and never played Persona 4 again.
It's one of those things where I feel like I'd probably like it, but be really frustrated at it, just because I very much am a very politically aggressive person, and from what I understand, Persona has some pretty bad politics here and there, and I probably would get really frustrated with that
Oh boy,
really
yeah.
fast.
There are definitely some things that reflect certain cultural attitudes that may not go over super well.
I haven't even played Persona 4, and I'm still pissed off about Naoto. I'm still mad about that.
It's a
As a trans
complicated.
person, I'm so pissed off.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's a weird one. I'm a cis guy, so I'm just gonna stop talking right there.
Thank you. um, I will say, Void Heart Symphony.
I
to
mean,
to shill my friend's work. Void Heart Symphony's coming, and Kickstarter ended recently. It's really good.
hey,
Please wait for it.
we love Jay Isles here. I did an
love Kay
interview with her.
Isles. She's so nice.
Yeah, I did an interview with her about Void Heart Symphony. I've got Legacy sitting. I can never
Oh,
point
yeah,
at
I see
anything.
it. There
I
it
can never
is.
point at anything behind me because my camera's mirrored. But yes, I've got Legacy back there. Yeah, she's one.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, this is Ruby talks up everyone she knows and all of the people she's working with day.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back on the topic of Ascendancy.
Yes.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to bring up about your Psychic Cyborg cyberpunk game? Ideally, something that starts with Psy.
Sign. You can sign up for the Kickstarter at tinyurl.com/Ascendancy Kickstarter.
Beautiful. Nailed it.
Nailed it. I'm giving out the tiny URL because I ended up screwing up the Kickstarter URL, because when it asked if you wanted a vanity URL, I was like, oh yeah, I'd like /Ascendancy. But it was asking if I wanted that for my account. So now the Kickstarter page for Ascendancy is kickstarter.com/projects/Ascendancy/Ascendancy. And I'm like, that's bad. I messed up.
It happens.
So tinyurl.com/Ascendancy Kickstarter.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, which I guess you would be, because now that I'm saying that, there's nowhere else that you would be watching this. It's below, down there.
We're not streaming. Yeah.
Nailed it.
In the comments.
And the description.
Description. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, leave a comment. Like, subscribe. Love us. We have a Patreon. And also back Ascendancy on Kickstarter once it's up.
Yeah.
Which, if you're watching this right when it comes out, it's not. It'll be up on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be up. Yeah, Saturday the 15th, on Saturday, February 15th, 2020. I don't know, just in case you're watching this like exactly a year in the future.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of timelines, what's your production timeline look like? When can I expect to physically hold this book in my hands?
My dream goal is to have this game out by August 15th.
2020.
2020. That is my absolute dream goal. That's what I want, and that's what I've scheduled everything around. So that's what I'm going for. As of right now, like the book's basically written. It's basically entirely done. The Kickstarter is mostly for funding the contractors, funding layout and editing and sensitivity reading, and the cost of printing. Of course, printing the game is going to be, that's a big one. Paying myself for my work, which I know a lot of tabletop writers don't do that with their Kickstarters. They don't like have it in the base where they pay themselves. But I worked really hard on this game for the last year and a half, and I kind of want to pay myself. It sounds like self-serving, but also like this is my job. I need to eat, and I need to be able to live one more day in order to write this game.
Yeah, you require nutrients, shelter.
Yeah.
There's a third one. Clothing. That's the other one.
Clothing and internet connection to be able to finish this damn game.
Yeah, that's the really important
one. Yeah, but also I will mention, if anyone's listening who has already purchased the game on itch, the game will go live on itch. It's already live on itch, but I increased the price so that back the Kickstarter because it's cheaper. anyone who's who's bought the game already on itch will get the final version of the game, just as like a thank you for supporting me this early on, because this is my first tabletop RPG, and I'm really grateful that so many people were supporting me and willing to buy my game in its early drafts when it's literally just a barely formatted Google Drive's PDF. And also I'm giving them a copy of my game as a way to say, I'm sorry that you had to read my unedited writing. Because as proven, I'm known to ramble. I have rambled this entire time.
Oh, good lord! You should see my notes. They're
I once sent the game over to someone at my local game store, and he texted me back saying, "So it's a pretty good game, really wordy though." And I'm like, "Yep, that's me."
Well, that's cool. I really hope you succeed on this. It looks like a good project, and you seem
Oh,
really
thank you very
cool.
much. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to bring up while you're here?
Um, you can, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter, as opposed to if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me on, I don't know, MySpace. I've got an ARG in order to find my Twitter profile. No, I don't.
Oh lord, I know
Could
people
you
who would do that.
imagine? I
Yeah.
would do that. That seems like a. But there's also an Ascendancy Discord that you can find. I'm trying to think if there's a good link to find it.
Yes, you have a like Discord link on the page for the
Yes,
on
that's right.
itch.io. Yes. I
Yes.
would read it out, but I don't think that would be terribly helpful to our viewers.
Yeah. It's got like case sensitive shit.
Yeah.
On my Twitter, if you go to my Twitter, I've got a pinned post about the Kickstarter. And in the replies to that is the Discord. That's the best way to get to it.
And your Twitter is Iron Spark Cyrus?
Yes, sorry. I Jesus. I didn't say my Twitter. Yeah,
It's
my
okay.
Twitter
I got you. It's on
my
Twitter.
Twitter, my Twitter is Iron Spark Cyrus. Iron Spark Cyrus spelled SYRIS. It's a little unwieldy, but it's my at, damn it.
Hey, I call myself Garm Break 1. I can't say no. Well, this has been lovely.
Yeah, that's been great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. This has been great. I
Yeah.
just said that, but that's okay. Um, yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
All right.
So, yeah, once again, thanks for your time. Go back Ascendancy on Kickstarter.
Please do. I love this game, and I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to show you both what this game has and what I've got planned in the future, because this really made me fall in love with tabletop writing. I love doing this, and I wanna keep doing this for the foreseeable future.
Well, if you do another project on Kickstarter or otherwise, let me know and we can.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got so many ideas.
All right. Well, for those of you watching at home, have a good night.
See ya.